Hello and welcome to the Right Hand HR webinar on the top 10 ways of reducing and preventing absence in the workplace. My name is Dawn Powell. I am an HR advisor within Right Hand HR, supporting clients across the north of England. Prior to this role, I worked within the public sector and have a range of experiences in various industries from manufacturing to professional services. Anyway, moving on to the webinar itself. As a result of registering to view it, you will receive via email a copy of the slides, a return to work guide, and free advice on any queries. The aim of the webinar is to understand methods and solutions to help employers proactively tackle absence in the workplace. Businesses continuously face a battle within managing the impact of unplanned absence in the workplace, and the impact of this frustration is even greater in small businesses. It is therefore important that organisations armour themselves with the knowledge of managing absence through logical hints and tips, with the aim of ultimately reducing or preventing unplanned absence in the workplace. There is, however, no single solution to reducing absence, and the pursuit of achieving zero absence is unrealistic, as we are dealing with people and there will always be a genuine period when an employee needs time off. The challenge is then set to support the need of encouraging employees to attend work whilst offering support to employees when they are generally ill. The top 10 tips are aimed at helping employers proactively tackle absence in the workplace. Education is key, so it is essential that you highlight the importance of monitoring and measuring absence, because before you can reduce it, you need to measure it. Without monitoring, an organisation doesn't know if it has or hasn't got a problem. Create a simple monitoring system. This would ensure that all employees complete a form for both planned and unplanned absence. Planned absence would include holidays, pre-booked doctors and dentist appointments, or it may ask for leave early or to come in late. Unplanned absence would include sickness or emergency leave situations, and in these situations the company form, which could include a company self-certification form or a return to work form, would be completed on the employee's return to work. There are various monitoring methods that can be used, and ideally any information should be recorded and electronically, and this will allow for analysis. The fact that once employees know their absence is being monitored, this in itself should start to see a reduction in absence. An organisation should try and have an absence reporting procedure for unplanned absence that employees understand and are required to follow if they are unable to attend work due to unplanned absence. This would include speaking to line managers, explaining why they cannot attend work. Also, only in exceptional circumstances, for example, if they are totally incapacitated, should it be acceptable for someone else to call in on their behalf. It should not be acceptable to leave a message at reception or send a text message or email. Absence should be reported by a certain time, for example, within an hour of their normal starting time. Employees should also be aware that failure to follow the correct absence notification procedure could affect payments and could be a disciplinary offence, but this must be confirmed in your policy documents. Make sure every employee is clear about the absence reporting procedure, and a copy in writing is given out at induction. A further monitoring tool is a return to work interview. So put a system in place where an employee sits with their manager to discuss any unplanned absence and complete a company self-certification form and or a return to work form. This again is a good preventative tool. Ideally this meeting should take place face to face, But if your organisation has geographical restrictions, a telephone meeting will be sufficient. The interview can include a number of areas such as the reason for absence. Did they visit a doctor whilst absent? Has the absence got any connection with work? You would review the past absences and consider, has this now become a disciplinary matter? Agree any reasonable adjustments that are required to facilitate the early return to work, and update the employee on any changes within an organisation. It would also be suggested that you do create a standard return to work form and use this during the meeting so the meeting is conducted in a fair and consistent manner. With a good monitoring system in place, records can be analysed for trends and to allow the organisation to monitor any initiatives for reducing absence to see if they are effective. Analysis and analysing the trends, the absence data for trends, would include trigger points if an organisation has any in place. Agree what to report on and when. This would include, for example, every quarter or every 6 months. It would then highlight total days absent in the period, including the days and date of absence. The report could also include total of any absences, for example, appointments, any part-time days, and the reasons. The reasons for absence, broken down into holiday, sickness, and other absences. Patterns to absences, any Monday and Friday syndromes, for example. The cost of absence, for example, sick pay or salary paid during absence, or overtime paid to cover absences, and temp costs. Compare reports for each quarter and monitor the trends in absence. This will indicate if absence is increasing or decreasing. This could further be broken down by department, and over time it will indicate if absence is reducing or increasing. A computerized system such as a HR or payroll system should also make report writing easier. So on a regular basis, information can be entered and reports can be produced. Having a doctor or occupational health advisor appointed by the company can be of assistance in managing absence. It is important that an appointed occupational health provider has a service offering for both an advisor and/or a doctor. These individuals are essential when managing and dealing with absence levels. There could be a number of reasons for referring an employee. Some of the specific areas that you could refer an employee for include pre-employment medical assessments, facilitating an employee's return to work. This could include reasonable adjustment under the DDA, a phased return to work, or lighter duties even. Medical reports relating to both long-term and short-term absences can also be requested. This would help identify if there is an underlying medical problem and could identify different ways of managing the employee when they or needs the employee may have when they return to work. The analysis of absence records will determine what action must be taken, if any. Remember, no situation is the same, but you must ensure consistency across your organisation. Examples of scenarios you may need to deal with include the employee with a pattern of odd days absence on Fridays and Mondays for various reasons, like a cold or stomach upset. A meeting may be required with this employee to point out their pattern and level of absence. This would highlight that there is a problem, and this may in itself help reduce future absence. When you have this meeting, first of all, it would be better to have an informal meeting, but advising the employee that if absence continues, formal disciplinary action may be considered if it is continued. The second scenario could be an employee who has not taken any holidays during the year. You may wish to remind them to book some holiday dates, as it's a health and safety requirement that they take at least 4 weeks off per year. This is a preventative tool for unplanned absence at work and will help reduce stress levels within the workplace. The third example, the employee has been off work for several weeks. When an employee has been absent continuously, an organisation may want to request consent to write to their doctor to request a medical report to understand in more detail the reasons for their absence and when they may return to work. If your organisation has an appointed HR advisor or occupational advisor, it may also be necessary to request that they attend an appointment. The fourth scenario is an employee who has lots of doctor's appointments at inconvenient times during the day. You may require further information to understand the need and the reason for this increased number of appointments and to establish if there is an underlying health problem. If the appointments are having an impact on business operations, you can discuss with the employee if the appointments they are attending can be made for a more appropriate time after working hours. Finally, the employee who is off on a regular basis for similar or exactly the same reasons. This may indicate an underlying medical condition, and you may want to refer them to your occupational health advisor or request a medical report from their GP. Consider providing private healthcare. Offering private healthcare is a valuable benefit to any employee, and it also helps the organisation in ensuring employees are dealt with more quickly to support an early return to work. An employee is given access to enhanced medical service above the NHS by being seen and treated more quickly. This in turn means that A, they are not worried and distracted for such a long period of time, and B, they will be treated and return to work in a shorter period of time. An organisation is then given the added commercial benefit that employees are dealt with more quickly to facilitate an earlier return to work. Introduce an absence policy. Once you have decided on your absence management strategies, there should be clear documentation and they should be communicated so that employees and management are clear about the objectives, processes and procedures that make up your absence management policy. The document should be reviewed on an ongoing basis to make sure it continues to meet the organisation's objectives for managing absence. It is essential that all managers are trained on managing absence in the workplace and updated with any statutory changes. This will ensure that the policy is implemented consistently and fairly. It is also essential that all employees sign to state they have read and understood the policy.